we're talking about dating. And I have with me Ashley and Jake. They're going to share their story, and Caitlin and Tim. Thank you guys for being here. I'm so excited that you were willing to talk about kind of a sensitive topic, kind of a touchy topic. Introduce yourself, maybe share like how old you are now, a little bit about your growing up in like a minute. Each of you will go down the line.
Okay, I'm Ashley. I'm 37 years old. I grew up in like the St. Cloud, Cold Spring, kind of part of like my upbringing. I had a rough childhood growing up. I was in and out of foster care for different things related just to like physical abuse. My parents went through a lot. Police were called. It was not always the greatest thing. So growing up, church really was not the focus. We would go to maybe like Christmas, something like that, but that was really it. And then it wasn't until like later on, I think I was just so honestly exhausted with how my life was going. And I was like, there's gotta be more to life. Like I can't just like keep going in this like way and this can be it. So that's what led me to having a relationship with God was honestly my upbringing and my family stuff. So yeah.
I'm Jake, I'm 36, this is my cougar wife. Love telling people that. Ashley usually asks how old she is because she remembers it off of how old I am. So that's why I smirked when she said her age.
I said I was 38 the other day and he's like, no, you're 37. I'm like, okay, good.
Yes. So we've been married for 14 years. It'll be 14 years here in June, like the beginning, middle of June or whatever. We got 3 kiddos. I'm trying to think of things that you might have missed or whatever. But we have 3 kiddos.
Long walks on the beach.
Yes, we enjoy long walks on the beach. Not really here, but somewhere else. Growing up, grew up in this area as well. Have a couple siblings. My family life was more just normal family life and stuff like that, and so as Ash and I got married and met and stuff like that, integrating our families and navigating through some of the things that she shared and stuff like that has been a really neat experience as we communicate through those things, and now like navigate those things for our kids. And so like, okay, we're changing what growing up looks like for our kids, different from what it was from Ashley and her childhood and stuff like that. And so even though I don't have the story that Ashley has growing up, it still obviously affects our life, our marriage and things like that. And cool now on the other end that we get to navigate it together to raise our kids, that they don't have to experience some of the things that she had to experience and stuff like that. That we get to protect them and see them grow up and live differently and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'm Caitlin, and I'm 30. I grew up kind of in the church. We grew up Catholic for a while. My mom dated around a lot, so it just really depended on what boyfriend my mom had, depending on what religion, we were in or what kind of church. And so when I turned 18, I just really I'd always felt like a draw towards whatever this church thing was, whatever this Jesus was. I didn't know really anything about him, but I was just like, I think I kind of want more than that. And so I moved in with my dad right before I turned 18, finished my senior year. My parents were separated, and started going to the church I'm in now. So I think October will be 14 years I've been going to the same church. Went to church, loved Jesus, but sex was my sin. And so I have 2 kids, 2 different dads, never married. My husband has a very different story, but we just got married in March, so we've only been married for just under 2 months. And so that's been great. He has 4 kids, previously married, he can tell you that, but yeah, we have very different stories, but I just kind of got to a point where I was like, you know what, I can't keep letting people touch me. That's not my husband. And if that means that I have to be alone forever and just raise my 2 kids, like, I'm good with that. I started my own business, you know, was doing it. And I'm like, I'm okay with being alone. This is kind of great. But I just knew that I wasn't going to settle for being a wife without being a wife. And then I met Tim at church, and so now here we are.
Aww. Okay. All right, I'm Tim. This is my wife, Caitlin. Although I call her Kate because I don't know, I've always called you Kate for whatever reason. So I'm 40, so that worked out good because I can do math. And so, so every guy in the room would normally high five me at this point, but since everyone here is a woman, they're like, oh, okay, anyway. So no, I grew up, I had a really good upbringing. My parents are super old still. They're both alive. They've been married for like 50 some years. I got to go to Christian school as a kid. So it was, you know, probably a little more sheltered maybe than, I don't know what I wanted to, but just more sheltered, I think. Met my high school sweetheart there, dated for a few years, got married. We waited to have sex until we were married also. Had 4 beautiful kids, still have 4 beautiful kids, like they're amazing. Lots of energy, lots of life. They have lots of personality.
3 boys and a girl.
I have 3 boys and a girl, 18, 15, 13, and my girl's 11. And so worked with my brothers doing construction for like 20 years. And, you know, after 14 years of marriage, my wife at the time said that she was kind of out and done. And so that sparked a lot of personal growth, like that much more, like really triggered, like, okay, now we're growing type thing. And so I quit working for my brothers, like 5 days after I had gotten separated with my wife, and which was a major growth point too, because like, you know, quitting the family business, doing construction, all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a really crazy, turbulent time, but it's so crazy to watch God in those moments. I mean, it was, you know, we don't have time for the story, but, you know, I basically quit, didn't have any work. That was the last day that my brother, like I gave my brothers my notice, thinking I'd have 2 or 3 months type thing, and that was the last day that I had worked. And so here I'm like newly separated, out of a job, like didn't know what to do. I'm like, well, I guess I might as well start painting.
So, you guys kind of talked about like whether you were married before. So for you guys each, it sounds like, had a good example of what marriage was. Right? Would you say that's? No.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
The men?
Oh,
Tim?
yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
I was
No,
saying
yes.
it sounded
Yes.
like you
Yes.
guys had good examples, right?
Yep.
And then the ladies didn't really have good examples of what marriage could or should look like, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. That's kind of interesting. So how did you know you were emotionally or even like spiritually ready to date? And that's for all of you.
Are we going down the line or how we doing
Doesn't
this?
matter.
I would say for me, I got to the point where I was completely just content with my relationship with God. Like when I thought about dating, I didn't think of it as, okay, it's going to make or break my life, but it's going to enrich my life. And I didn't want to rush it either. Like in previous times, I would rush it. I would almost be okay with certain things. I had like almost like, I didn't have as great as standards, I think, before. And then once I really was like, no, I've seen the patterns. I've seen before. I've done the things my own way. It's not working. It's not good. That's when I was finally like, knew I was ready, was when I played hardball in a sense, I guess, with what God was like speaking to me and also just what the word says about dating. I just kind of like always had a but to it. And finally I just was like, no, this is what it is. So.
I had only been in one relationship previous to Ash and I dating and then getting married. And so, and I did not follow the Lord when I was in that relationship and just made some bad decisions. And so similar to what Ash said is that like when I got to a spot where I wanted to date, it was knowing like, okay, I want to I want to marry this person, but then what does that have to look like? What are standards? What are things that I'm looking for in a person? And how also at the same time, how do I value myself? That I had to see like my self value and worth before I was ready to date and marry Ashley. And so that was a big piece, and that took like some years of growing because I mean we got married young. I said we've been married for 14 years, so we got married when I was 22, you were 23, and so like I remember being 18 years old and thinking I could get married any day now, like whatever, and as a young immature 18-year-old, and so there was years of personal growth happening in that time or whatever, and to get to a spot to be like, okay, I now could see myself being ready to marry, and also thinking about like what that really meant. Like I had to get rid of a lot of my selfishness. So much I look at like when we follow Jesus is like ridding ourselves of selfishness. That if we want to be good followers of him, we need to be selfless. That's literally what he says. The Son of Man has come to serve and not to be served. And so the greatest reflection of that is, and it's no coincidence that Jesus describes marriage as his love for the church, is that like in order to truly love my wife, I need to serve and not be served. And so I have to be selfless. And so a lot of it was realizing that of like, okay, if I'm going to say I'm ready for this, I have to be ready to be selfless in a lot of things in my life. And as Ashley can attest, I'm not great at it all the time, but I try.
I was just gonna say, you've been married a few years.
Oh, yes.
Did you really have that wisdom prior to being married?
I think I had the wisdom to know, maybe not always how to
To do,
act.
yeah. To do is
she
is
can jump in
different.
right there.
Yeah.
We won't go there. We'll save you that shame. I get it. But that's a lot of wisdom for a young man. So that's incredible.
Okay, so you'll notice I'm probably the oddball of the four of us, but I don't know. Like, I don't think that I was emotionally and spiritually ready to start dating. I heard the Lord a couple years ago. I was living with a boyfriend, loved him. He was amazing. I know my husband hates that, but it's the truth. And so he was great. Treated me and my kids really well, but there was just like something missing. And he said that he loved Jesus, but he didn't lead me in that area. And so I remember June of 3 years ago, the Lord said it's time to go, and I'm like, no thanks. And so I fought the Lord for 6 months, and then December 12th of 2024, I said, okay, I have no rent payment, and so now I'm going to have a $1,700 rent payment as a single mom of 2 kids, and I just started my business. Awesome. I clean houses. And so I was like, okay, God, you know what, whatever. If this is what you're telling me to do, then I have to trust you because that's what your word says. And so I moved out. And when I told my boyfriend at the time I'm moving out, I could almost physically see the anxiety and the depression leave my body. It was the most amazing thing. And so I think that would be like a, check number 1 of, Caitlin, you're emotionally and spiritually ready because you're willing to listen to what I'm saying. And so I moved out on my own, and a couple months go by. I remember I met this guy. Again, my husband hates this. Super great guy, super nice. We only hung out for a couple weeks. I remember the Lord, I was on my way to his house, and the Lord was like, ask him if he's going to go to church with you. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And so I did. I got to his house, and he wants to snuggle, and I'm like, hold on, I have to ask you something. Are you going to go to church with me on Sunday or not? And he's like, no, I don't think it's for me. Not yet, maybe in the future. And I said, well, then you're not my husband. See you later. And I remember I cried the whole way home, not because like I missed him or I wanted him or anything, but it was another check where I didn't realize that was what was happening, but I was just being built to listen to the Holy Spirit and sacrifice. Like, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be a 29-year-old single mom of 2 kids. Like, I want a husband. I feel like that's what the Lord has for me, is to be a wife. And so like, oh my gosh, but I was like, so in awe of who God is in that moment that I just cried the whole way home. And I'm like, God, thank you. Thank you that you told me to ask him that, because I probably would have, just went along with it. And then the next night, it was May 8th, I remember, because we had a encounter night at our church. And I just remember I went there and I just, hands raised, worship the Lord. I'm like, God, you're so good. I know that I'm a single mom, but like, you're so good. And I love that I can hear you. And so I don't think that I really knew, but I also knew that if the Lord said no, that I was willing to listen, because I had built the foundation of, okay, God, I'm going to be obedient because I've been disobedient and this sucks. And so I see the fruit in my life of being obedient, and that's just what I'm going to do. And so when I met my husband, it was just like, I'm going to live like this. And so God, if he's not for me, just take him away. Just take him away. And I said that prayer every single day until the day that we got married. Like, Lord, if he's not my husband, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm totally good with that, because I can't make another choice that isn't in your will for my life, because this sucks. Like, it really just is hard not doing what you want me to do. And I need your help. And so,
Well, especially for single parents, right? Because your kids walked that journey with you.
yeah.
And that's really hard. Like, for the single parent, you date with your heart, but also your children's heart. And so there's effects. There's, your kids form attachments to these people, and then, that makes it hard too. It just compounds what they're walking through.
And just to kind of like piggyback what he said is like, okay, well, if he was a nice guy, like, why did you, walk away just because he didn't go to church with you? Because I wanted a man that was going to lead me. I wanted a man that was going to lead my kids. And I knew that if he wasn't willing to go to church, it's pretty simple. And so if you're not willing to do that, then you're probably not willing to serve me and my family. You're not willing to submit to the Lord. And I don't want to submit to you if you're not willing to submit to the Lord. So
That's incredible growth. I just want to. Caitlin and I go way back. We won't talk about how many years we go back. It makes me feel old, but you have done a ton of personal growth, and a lot of it is allowing God to show you who you are, that you're valuable, that you're worth it. So, okay, you're up.
I guess I'm up. I'll go quick. I can't. I don't want to top it.
Just kidding.
I don't want to top it, right?
Just kidding.
I have to drive home with you. No. It's going to be an awkward car ride. How do you know? Yeah, like you were touching, Amanda, about the idea of like identity and how big it is. And so like I remember, going back to, getting newly separated and ultimately divorced, I had put so much of my identity in my, job, my spouse, my kids, my home that, I'm a home builder, so I build houses. So it's like, oh, from the outside, we have this perfect life type thing, right? And so on, obviously the inside, it was crumbling. And then for me to quit my job, which was, my older brothers own the company. So when I walked on the job site, and I asked someone to do something, they kind of had to listen, right? And so for me, there was so much identity that got, ripped apart with, a divorce and with changing a job in a company, right? And so I think it took 6 years of more or less being single. I dated a little bit in that time, but with 4 kids, you're like, I'm just trying not to like have all the kids like die or something, right? Like, and so like we joke about it, but like, my cooking would be like panko shrimp from Costco, praise the Lord, like oven broccoli, like fish, like, so we would just, and like, it was perfect because you put it all in the pan, put it in the oven, and it's 4 different meals. So when all the kids are complaining about them, like, well, I got your chicken nuggets, or you can have your shrimp, or you can have your fish, or you can have your broccoli, and there's strawberry, like, it was just like, eat whatever. And so we're working on that. She's training. That's not how it actually is. It's getting better now. But when she's gone, we still have the panko shrimp. I think the idea, but she's not there.
do you want me to reread the question?
No. So I think the biggest thing, for me was the idea of identity, and I had put so much stock in, who I was, because of someone else, and I got to the point where I'm like, okay, God, and living like this, like God. Just like you had said, like I fully surrender. If this is my wife, that's awesome. If it's not my wife, like that's okay. Like God, you are enough. and it's easy to say, but I finally got to the point where I was like, no, I'm okay being alone. I'm okay. I can do this. You know, we can cook these meals. The kids and I get along. I can make my house payments. And I don't want this, I don't want a woman or a wife to complete me, you know. It was just more of a, I was going to put a joke in there, but never mind. That's why I stopped.
When you thought about dating, like what qualities were you like, this is what's important to me? And then how has that played out in your marriage?
Oh, I got that.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know how to answer that. I just
Oh.
like look for the fruit.
Oh yeah, no, I got that one.
I guess we can
For me, when we were dating, she had said a couple things that were really impactful along the way, and one of them was just the idea of like, hey, if I ever had to, what was it like? If I ever had to speak, you know, would you be there to encourage me, or type thing? And she's like, oh yeah, I'd be
Oh, the shoveling.
right. The shoveling. Oh. Yep. Okay, that's another one.
Yep.
So, if I like, one of them was like, if I ever had to speak, would you be there and encourage me? And she'd be like, absolutely, you could totally do this, right? Another one was like, hey, what happens if I broke my leg and we got 6 inches of snow? Would you go shovel the sidewalk? And she's like, absolutely, of course I'd go shovel the sidewalk. And I had dated a gal very brief before that, and I asked her the same question. She's like, no, I'd call someone. I'd totally call someone. And so, and so like the idea of it, what it told me as a guy, I'm like, she's willing to partner. Like she's, you know, if I break my leg, I'm not doing this alone. And so, you know, and like when
Like we're a team.
we were such a team. And so like, I could see that there was something besides the amazing qualities God gave you, like that there's something of like a future goal, a future mission, a future something that wasn't just like, oh, this is my wife and she's really pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like one of the things, like we communicate unbelievably well. You know, like our joke is that like when I'm trying to say whatever I'm saying, I'll just ask chat and she'll put it into words that everybody understands. You know, hey
Which you can
chat.
probably, you know, it's sometimes you just like,
Yep, I keep
yeah, it's
going.
great. And so then I just have to,
That's it.
this is what he's trying to say. And it works really well.
It works great.
Yeah. And so like I like that you said that about like the common mission. That was, I guess I didn't think that it was really a quality, but like having a common mission. Like if you want to go this way and your husband or your boyfriend or whoever you're hanging out with wants to go this way, and you're like, not that you like go fishing and that's what you have in common, but like what is your life goal? And so him and I have a lot of those things in common. I volunteer at the church. He volunteers at the church. But we volunteer at 2 different areas in the church where for, 2 years we didn't even see each other at the church because we didn't volunteer in the same area. I like speaking. I like public speaking. I like doing this kind of stuff. He really likes preaching in front of men. We both missions trips. That's a huge thing. He went to Brazil last year. I went to Des Moines, Iowa. We're supposed to go to Brazil in August, not because it sounds fun, but it's our both common mission of like seeing more people to Jesus. And so I think that's probably like our big one is having the common, I don't know. I think, great qualities are great. Having kind and like, helpful and I don't know, not aggressive and like he doesn't call me names and he doesn't drink alcohol and he doesn't smoke cigarettes and like, all these things are
those
great,
should
but
be like baseline.
Right,
You know what I
but
mean?
like-
but like how, yeah.
Yeah,
and that's
having
what
a
I'm looking
common
for.
mission.
You were looking for those specific
Yeah.
qualities and
yeah.
and that has served your marriage.
Right, because if he were to die and like you say something at his funeral, it's like, oh, he was kind. Well, that's great. Or like, no, we served our mission together. Like this is what God gave us, and this is how we ran our race. It wasn't I ran my race and he just cheered me on. Like we ran the race together. Like we're a team, and yeah. Hopefully that answers it.
How about you guys?
Oh, you have a mic.
Sure. I think for us, I mean, it was a big piece of it was a lot of what you guys said of like figuring out like, are we on the same page? Do we have similar passions and goals and visions for us together as a family? Because it was when we started dating. Now this is gonna sound super odd, and you guys can take shots at me. I'm okay with that. But I think we had dated for like 6 months, and I like flat out just told her like, hey, I really see this as like, if we're gonna date, I want to marry you. I'm just gonna throw that out there. And I remember her being like, okay, it was kind of that awkward moment, but it was like, I don't want to date just to date, because like I see, like, if we're gonna start having all these conversations, we're gonna build a relationship, we're gonna figure out what our common goals and visions are. Like, I want you to know what my vision is for this relationship, and if it goes off track, then it's like, hey, we can both walk away and it's fine, whatever. But this is what I'm aiming towards.
It's true.
Are you aiming towards the same thing? And so it started to make those conversations easier about like what you guys were talking about of okay, what do you want to do in life? What are you passionate about and stuff like that? And now, like, we're 14 years into marriage, and there's so many things that like we don't even need to have conversations on oftentimes, because we already know we're in alignment on stuff of how are we going to spend our money, how are we going to budget, what do we want to do with this, that like, yes, if they're, you know, big expensive things or whatever, we're going to have a conversation about it. But like oftentimes we're so passionate with Amanda about the financial piece thing, like, go do it, it's amazing.
Yes.
I will pump it again. But like there's so many things when it comes to budget and how we live our life, what we do with our kids, what they're going to do for school and stuff like that, that oftentimes that like it is a simple conversation and it's like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Like, and isn't a lot of discussion about it, because we were already so aligned on everything that like we've just been living on mission together for so long that it's like, man, there's not a lot of pieces that like I really need to talk through with this, because I already know you and I feel the same way about it. And so, and she'll probably be like, no, sometimes I really need to tell him this because he doesn't get it. So I don't know, but I feel like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I would agree. Like, I think, like, when I think of qualities, like, yeah, the foundational stuff you hear probably all the same. For me specifically, too, is like I needed to know that he was okay with things not being always like this perfect life, just because I know that's not realistic. I needed to have a partner that would walk with me through the hard and stuff like that and not be scared of it. And we probably should say this too. So like I had my own like upbringing and stuff that wasn't always perfect. He's, I mean, now you're not, but like he was a pastor for like 7-8 years. So he had this role where, you know, in my eyes, I'm just a commoner, you know, like I'm this, you know, I'm a nurse. Like, I'm not like this pastor's wife. Like, if you were to like look at our church, I'm probably the black sheep of all of it, or used to be, or whatever, which is good. I like it. I love what I do. Like but that's my point, is like, we have different strengths and our weaknesses are different, and that's good. Like, I get home and he's like, how's your day? I'm like, oh, like, I had this guy that had a broken penis, and then I had someone like they needed their gallbladder out, you know? And he's like, oh, great, I prayed with someone today, you know? And it's just like, we're just so different. And like that also bleeds into how we parent, that bleeds into just like our interests and like what we want our day like to look like in our life and everything. And I liked that. I liked that we were not 100% the same, because that would be super boring. So yeah.
So as you guys were dating, how did you know, like, what told you like this was the one? I mean, we've talked about these qualities. I'm assuming that's a big part of it, but like,
Okay, I'm gonna
What did you
just.
find better than this? That's what did it for me. I'm like, could I find better than this?
I mean, so I hope I don't ruin the question, but I don't necessarily believe there is a one. I'm more of like, hey, like, it's not like a magical moment. It's the ray of light shine down from God and like, thank you, this is the one. Like, she's amazing. But like, I mean, it really was like, man, I look at all these things that were important and they valued of, okay, she loves the Lord. She has some similar passions and goals. Like, there are also things that changed. When we got married, she said she either wanted one kid or no kids. And I said I wanted 2 or 3. We had 2. I thought we were good. Everything was kosher. we had one each. And then one day she comes home not too long ago and she said, what if we have 4? And so now I'm in for more than I expected, you know? So there is pieces that change along the way. But like, I don't think it's like, man, there's this magical one person. But man, when you start to look for the qualities and things that are important to you, that you value, and really seek out that, like, okay, we're aligned in all these things, then man, this is someone that I really could see myself spending the rest of my life with. And I think that the hardship is that you have to blend the, like, am I ready? Am I content with being single? Am I content with who I am? And then, like, at the same time searching for this person that I'm dating. And, like, that's the fun time where you get to know the person and stuff like that, whatever. And if you can have it be that, like, dating time is getting to know and really learn the person rather than jumping into some of the physical side of things, that, like, you really get to know that person, that it allows you to figure out, okay, is this something that can last, or is this something that's like here one day, gone tomorrow? And so, like, that was the important thing for us, is we had time to figure those things out. And then when it came to, like, getting married, it's like, okay, well, we're on the same mission, we're on the same path. That it was, I had to be content on my own. I had to really figure out who she was, and then coming together, it now has made, you know, because I'm content in who I am in Christ. I'm content in who I am as a man, but it's exemplified and amplified because of who Ashley is and who she is in Christ. And I hope I exemplify her. Maybe I should say it differently, but I hope that's the case. And so, like, it had, all those pieces had to fit in. I had to be okay with who I am. She had to be okay with who she is, and, like, then we found those things together. And now, like, in marriage, I don't know if that answered your question. I feel like I went off in a way, but
No, it's good.
So, for me, okay, I have a question. Please participate. Have you ever dated somebody and you're like, and once you broke up, or even when you were in the relationship, you were like, I have no peace. I had no peace. Anybody? You guys aren't on camera. Nobody will see you but me. Okay? So, you know the feeling of, like, fight or flight, I have no peace. There's no peace. And then you get out of it and you're like, man, wow, there's like a weight lifted off my shoulders because I didn't have any peace. So when Tim and I started dating, I call it, I chased the peace. And so, like, that'd be like a tip, or like my advice to you is, like, chase the peace. Because I told him multiple times, as soon as I don't feel peace in this, I'm out. Because I've never felt peace in a relationship ever. You know, I've dated, you know, alcoholics, or, you know, people that scream at me or call me names or whatever. And, you know, it's like, it's great that you don't drink alcohol, but, like, if you're not bringing me peace, and not, like, in a selfish way, but, like, if I'm anxious around you, I don't feel safe, I don't feel calm, like, that's a problem. And so even, like, these great guys that I dated that were really, truly great guys, I just didn't have peace. And then, you know, we went on date 1. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's a first date. So, of course, like, you feel great on a first date, but what's, you know.
Best behavior.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And then we went on our second date and we unloaded trash into a trailer because he works all the time. And he was like, I just want to make sure I can do life with you. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean you want to do life with me? You know? And so it was different. And so, of course, same thing, you're on your best behavior on date number 2, but we were loading and unloading trash, and we lifted Adirondack chairs, you know, up a hill, you know, up on this person's deck. In the dark, you know, that my hands are sticky because they just got done staining them, like, that day or the day before or something. Like, that was our second date, and we had the best time. You know, third date, and then it was like, then we were just spending every day together, you know, not spending the night, but, like, we would just find, you know, little times to spend time together. You would drive by my house and, hey, are you home? I just want to see you for 10, 15 minutes before I go to work. Like, okay. But, like, as we started dating and as we started, you know, doing life together and bringing the kids involved, it was like, holy crap, like why do I not feel anxious? Why am I not having anxiety attacks? Why am I not, oh, okay. Why am I getting sleep? That was a big one for me when I would date, is I would stay up all night, and I sound like a crazy person, and I'm like just being so honest. I would like see if they were on Facebook to see if they were online, because I'm like, well, he wouldn't text me back. It's 10 o'clock, but he's on Facebook. Why wouldn't he text me back? And I would give myself like so much anxiety about these guys that I was dating. And for him, like he's still texting me, and I'm, sleeping. I'm sleeping because I'm like, I don't care. Like I just feel so much peace with him. I never had to worry like if he was out doing something, because I just had so much peace. And so, what was your question?
That's good. I think you answered it.
I did the same thing.
But
Wait, what was it?
you mentioned the kids. So at what point did you guys bring your kids into the relationship? Because that's a big one.
Yep. And so we probably did it faster than maybe is good, but we met in July. Officially met in person in July. We saw each other at church. We talked a little bit on Facebook, not a lot, no flirting or anything like that. It was really boring. And he'll like, when he asked me on our first date, I'm like, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, this is going to be the most boring date I've ever been on in my life, but like, I'm just going to go because why not? And then we had the best time. But texting, he's an awful texter. And so anyways,
He's like proud of it.
I know, he is, he's so boring. So boring.
It's
so great.
Yeah. And so like our kids had like met, not officially, but like at church they would like meet each other, and like I had met his kids, but not, hi, I'm Caitlin. It's just, I'm the youth leader on Wednesday nights. And so like I knew his son because he was in youth. And so like we had already kind of like met, but not like officially. So our first date was in July. We were married in March. So I think it's been 8 or 9 months total since like meeting, engaged at 6 months, married at 8 months type thing. So, right, we did things quickly. And for us, it really was like, well, if this doesn't mesh, then like that's a clear sign from God that like this isn't for us. Like you're not my husband. If our kids can't handle each other type thing. And so, I don't know, 2 months. I think I met the kids before like our kids met. So I kind of just built a little bit of a relationship with them. And then we introduced my kids, probably two or 3 months, probably not quite 3 months.
How old are your kids?
So he has 18, 15, 13, and 11. I have 10 and 5. So very wide range of, kids. Yeah.
And did any
At any time did our kids not like each other? Like
kids not like him?
me and his kids get along great. Him and my kids, great. Most of our kids blend very well. Blending's hard when you have 6 kids. I think it's really just our 2 girls. 11 and she'll be 5 next month, so she's 5. 11 and 5, it's a different dynamic, and so like I get it. It's hard when you don't want a 5-year-old touching your stuff. And she's in that 11-year-old age where it's kind of goofy. Dad just got married, even though her and I have a really great relationship. It's still, you're blending kids. He says it all the time because I get anxious about it because I want to protect my kids. And he's like, honey, this has been so easy. Like compared to what it should be or what normally it is when you blend 6 kids, like this is not a problem. Like this is actually really easy. And
to kind of jump on that, one of the things I think went so well for her especially is she came in without the idea of like, I'm going to parent you kids.
Right.
She came in not like I'm going to just be your friend, but like it's the idea of I just love you. I just, so like I have a 15-year-old boy. And so lately, now that we're married, she's in the sourdough chickens stage of life.
the homesteading.
Right. So anyway,
He loves it.
so she made homemade bread, right? And so it's 10 o'clock at night, and for whatever reason, this warm bread came out of the oven. We cut it up, and my 15-year-old just loved it, like just absolutely loved it. So the next day, of course, we eat the whole loaf of bread. So the next day, she's out making another loaf of bread. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, your son Saith said he really liked the bread, so I'm gonna make another whole loaf of bread. And so it's this attitude of, she's just pouring into a 15-year-old through his stomach, which is really smart, by the way.
Or like I'll get Yeah,
Right.
I'll get a pineapple on Wednesday because I know that he's coming home on Sunday and I know that he really likes pineapple. So it's like, I'm not like, and not that I'm not, maybe that's why I didn't say it, 'cause I'm not trying to like tuck myself up type thing, but like, yeah, I want to be their friend. Yeah, I'm their stepmom. I'll let, him parent, but like, I just want to get to know you. I just want to build a relationship with you. Like, I want this to go really smoothly, and I want you to be able to trust me. Again, not that it's like in a manipulative way, but man, this works a lot better when, we can have a great relationship. And if I know that you like this and I'm at the store, like, I thought of you. I know that Nolan really likes blue Gatorade. So every time I'm at Aldi, if they have blue Gatorade, I buy it. They don't always have blue Gatorade, so he doesn't always get it. But when they do, then I get it for him.
So you're being really intentional.
Yeah, being really intentional.
So, shameless plug, the Smart Step Family is a curriculum, a group that we will have again, and I highly recommend it. Nick and I took it instead of premarital counseling because we were blending a family, and I felt like I should have known the information before we even started dating. So their studies show that it takes 5 to 7 years for a family to blend well. And one of the things I'll just give you as a little freebie is start asking your kids questions like, what would it look like if mom or dad started dating again? What would it look like? Because you want to ask questions that help them start to think about where you're headed and to start picturing things and to start like adjusting. So just that's my little freebie with that. Okay, we are out of time, but we're going to keep going just a little bit because I like to push boundaries really hard. What were the hardest moments of temptation? What boundaries did you have and maybe had to adjust in order to not let the physical get out of hand? Or did you just not have temptation?
We'll make this quick. So, sorry, unless you guys want to go first.
You go for it.
We definitely had temptations. I can honestly say that we did not have sex before we got married, which whoop whoop. But we did go further than we wanted to, and so we really have regrets there. But one of our boundaries was just obviously no sleepovers. Great. It didn't matter if I fell asleep watching a movie and with all the kids home. It wasn't just him and I, but it didn't matter if I fell asleep and woke up. If it's 2 a.m, see you bye. Another thing is we told our pastor everything. And so if we screwed up, if we went a little too far, if we kissed a little too intensely, if he's touching my boobs, we told our pastor. And so we knew, on a Tuesday, we're going to see Pastor Heath tomorrow. So we're going to have to, or he's going to know because the Holy Spirit's going to tell him. Same thing with a Saturday night because we didn't have the kids. Fine, I'll leave because Pastor Heath is definitely going to know if, and so, but we,
And that was literally
Yeah.
we literally said,
Accountability.
this sucks because we can't do this on Saturday night and then go to church tomorrow and sing, "Oh, how I love Jesus."
right.
There's something that it would take 3 days of guilt of shouldn't have done that, that's stupid.
Yep.
And so it was just one of those let's just not, because we know
Yep.
we're going to church tomorrow. We know the pastor's going to look at us,
And he's going to be like,
what are you
and,
doing?
and our face is going to tell it all.
Right. And even to the point that the one day we were in church and our pastor's super busy. All pastors are busy, but he's insanely busy. And after church, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He had just spoke 3 or 4 sermons. And he's like, "All right, you two come back to my office." And
Yeah.
and we weren't in trouble, but it was just one of those I'm going to pour into you guys for 10 minutes, which turned into 40 minutes. And again, it wasn't it was a chastisement. It wasn't you guys are failing, all this kind of stuff. It was just you guys have no idea how important it is. I see a mission for you guys. I see something greater than what you're doing. Don't sabotage it. I'm here to cheer you on.
Yep.
And so that accountability is huge. Whether it's the Holy Spirit or just when he walks up to look him in the eye, you have to look down here because crap. That kind of thing. That was a big deal for us.
Yep.
Sorry.
I think I was going to say something else too, but I forgot.
They want to talk to.
How about
Yeah.
Jake and Ashley?
Well, we had a time cutoff. I don't remember what the time was though. Was it 10?
No,
Was
it
it?
was midnight, but probably should have been 10.
Okay. we had that. And then, something with us is the stuff that we did together, we also did it with other people, right? So if we were hanging out, we were in a group, right? So that temptation or just those easy slip ups, like it's obviously hard to do it when you're with a group of people, kind of thing. And two, also is
We
like,
were young, and so I still lived with my parents. So like, it's weird, you know,
yeah,
being late at your house at your parents' house, you know. So.
yeah. I was at my best friend's house because family stuff. I didn't have a home, so they took me in and stuff like that. And so how disrespectful would that be if I, you know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there is a sense of like conviction when you are also like doing like just life groups together, or like we were serving in youth at the time. And so I think there is that piece of like, are you,
Accountability was huge.
yeah.
We had
like, are you walking what you're talking kind of thing a little bit? Not that that wasn't hard. There was actually one night we did long distance for 6 months.
Yep.
Something like that. I was out in Seattle. He was here.
Worse. Don't suggest it at all.
And,
Horrible.
and like, it was really great. But like, there was one time where he was a little too forward and I told him to go home. I was like, you need to go now. And like, and it was really awkward. And,
Very awkward.
and like, you could tell instantly.
Great that we did it, but very awkward.
But yeah, it was like one of those things. And like, I think it was those moments though where it was super awkward. And like afterwards, I think it was that the night you ran out of gas too.
I don't know. Maybe.
There was one night he like
Probably.
calls
We need to
me.
hear that
Probably.
story.
He calls
at
me
some
and
point.
and I think it was, and he's like, can you get me gas? It's like, yeah, I can. Anyway, all that to say is like, sometimes if you have to be just like forward and it's a little awkward, it's better because then they take you seriously and it's not just like, oh, we're going to do this, but like, I really mean it. And if you want to be with me, like, this is not just like, I'm just saying this, I mean it.
Well, and part of like, I feel like lining up in who you want to marry. If you set boundaries and someone can't respect your boundaries on the front end, like how are they going to respect them when you're married? You know, like I'm setting a boundary in what we're going to do physically before we're married, and this is like, yes, it's a hard boundary for sure, but like if you can respect it here before we get married, well, now the boundaries that we set in our marriage of what's okay and what's not when we get married, like those, knowing that you can, okay, you resisted this, okay, it's going to be that much easier for both of us when we get to a spot of marriage, because we've set boundaries, and now they become standards that are just things that we do in life, and like they're not even thought about because it's like, well, I just know the person that you are. I've seen you honor this. I've seen you respect what I say. I see and hopefully same for me, but like, see you honored this, so like, man, I trust the person that you are, and that's ultimately what you're building, is that like you want to be able to trust the person that you're with, and that's part of like hoping to be with them the rest of your life. Nobody goes into a relationship thinking, man, I hope we're together for a year and then break up and we have this horrible split and we now have to deal with all the consequences of what that looks like and stuff like that. And so it's like, man, you're ultimately building this trust that like, I trust Ashley with absolutely everything. That was built on like the first, 6 months to a year that we were dating, and like obviously it's built more over time, but like I learned that in some of the first times we were around each other, and in just some of the small things. It was kind of like what you guys were saying too, of like you saw the appreciation of like, man, we're gonna serve as a team, and like she really valued that, so it was very important to you, Tim. And so like, because you saw that, it's like, okay, I can see my life with this person because I saw this quality that was so valuable. And so it's part of those things are just our respect and trust that you're building that are going to last a lifetime.
Well, because
Right.
if you can date without being physical, then you can trust your spouse.
Right. He's less likely to sleep with, his secretary if he
Right.
wouldn't even sleep with me when we were dating. Like,
Yeah.
I just have that much more trust for him because he could keep his hands mostly to himself.
Okay, we're not talking about now.
And we
No, I meant before.
And one of the things that hit us too is, I mean, we have 6 kids, right, together.
Yep.
And so it's like,
4 boys and 2 girls.
right, so I have an 18-year-old son that, how can I look at him and say, hey, you're 18, who just got a girlfriend 3 months ago, and say, it's possible, if he sees us
Right.
being intimate, doing things we shouldn't. Again, he's at the house, whatever. If he sees her spend the night, you know, again, we're now making it normal for him or all of these 6 of these kids because they're going to look at us and say, well, you did it, Dad.
Right.
You know,
How
Dad,
can
and-
you say that we can't or shouldn't if you and Kate did it, or, you know, or
Yeah.
the two girls? It's like, well,
So-
girls, like, you can wait. You know, you can wait too. There are men out there that will respect you, and you know, you don't have to give your body away. But how can I tell them that if me and him are sleeping together before we got married?
Right.
Right.
Well, that's honestly why I brought you guys here, because I wanted to be able to show, you know, like every time we're talking about this, you know, when I'm in a group with single moms, it's like, well, are there actually guys out there that are willing to date? Yes. And they're not like ugly. They don't live in their mother's basement. They have jobs. Like, these are quality men that, you know, have been willing to wait. And it is possible. And you are worth it. And you should demand that standard. So one quick question, and then we're going to wrap up. If you could go back and do one thing differently in your dating journey, what would it be? Any, like, throughout whatever your dating journey. It doesn't have to be with your spouse, but like, what would you do differently?
I would say for me, it would be not looking for someone to fulfill my identity. You know, I dated a gal one time. We were at dinner, and her one kid was just being a stinker to the other kid, and she got mad at the one kid. And I'm like, actually, it was the other one. You know, that was really the one who caused the problem. And she looked at me and goes, actually, you could walk home. I'm like, oh. And so what it screamed to me is, we're not partners. We're not a team. I tried to put so much identity in her. And so by, you know, marrying Kate, there's so much like this team atmosphere, this intentionality, this mission, this like we're doing this life together. You know, I knew within 20 minutes of date on our first date, like I can talk to her, and I want to get to know her. I don't want to just, you know, be physical with her, right? And like our conversations about how physical we want to be or not, like they were really easy. It wasn't necessarily me going, hey, let's do this. We both were like, no, we don't want to do this. And so how can we both fight the temptation?
Who brought that up first?
Who brought what
No
up?
physical.
Actually, it was before. It was before we were dating. It was before we went on our first date. He had just kind of asked me, just very like briefly in one of our boring conversations. That 2 messages later, he quit talking to me for a day and a half. You know, like, what are you looking for? You know, like, I don't remember what we. Right. It was just like some random conversation, and you know, he's like, I was like, well, I have a list or whatever, and he's like, well, what's on your list? And so like one of them was, I want my future husband to own his own business, because if he can do that, he can probably, you know, like put up with me type thing. And then I said, and no sex before marriage. And he replied like, that's nice, or something, you know. And then he brought it up. It was on our 3rd date where he's like, hey, so I kind of like you. I think you kind of like me, you know, but like you have to leave at 10 because, you know, I'm walking in purity too, and like that kind of thing. And like, to just really quickly, I know we're running out of time. Well, our struggle was not at 10 o'clock at night. Our struggle was at 2 p.m. And so like there was plenty of like, you know, 2:30 where I'm like, okay, I need to go home, or like you need to go home, because like we could hang out at 10 p.m. just fine and not have any struggles. 2 p.m. was our struggle. Like 2 to 3 p.m. or it's like 2:47 and we're like, we have to go get kids, but we're making out in the kitchen. And so, yeah, anyways, just wanted to throw that in there, because we're probably not the only ones. We're like, some people struggle at night. Some people struggle in the afternoon. So like, you're not alone.
Yeah, but don't have your future person be your identity, right? That was a big one. And so date with like this idea of like, I'm looking for a common person. You know, like what you said, you know, there probably isn't just one person in the world, right? You know, God forbid something would ever happen to your spouse, right? The idea of like, I'm looking for someone very specific that loves Jesus, that wants to partner with this, she wants to parent my kids. I want to parent her kids. She's very early, she said, you can parent my kids. And obviously I'm very respectful about how I do it. And, you know, there was just something about, it became very easy. Like we looked at each other like, this is way easier than we thought it would be. Like so far. I mean, obviously we've had hard times, but like all in all, this has been way easier than.
Yeah. You're not going to find them at the bar.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to find a man willing to wait at the bar. Just saying. And so like for what I would change is like obviously the amount of boyfriends that I've had, obviously, but letting the world tell me that, you know, there isn't a man that's going to wait. And so I just went, oh, okay, well, you know, I told him I really wanted to wait, but he said no. So, but he said he loved me. So I guess, you know, see, everybody was right. Nobody's going to wait. And so just really getting to the point where it's like, I mean, I had something traumatic to me happen, not to me, but like in my brain, it was traumatic. I took it traumatic, where I really was just like, you know what? No, I'm good. Like, please don't touch me if you're not my husband, you know? Yeah. And so unfortunately that's what it took for me to get my head on right.
Well, and for me, like, I'll just share too, like I talk about in the groups that I do, you can look at the statistics for happy marriages. Waiting till after marriage far, far, far makes a better marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That should have convinced me it didn't. If you look at the prevalence of STDs, that should scare you. Didn't really scare me. I am a slow learner. Like, I love that you guys are a little quicker than I am. But you can look at like all the different statistics and the benefits of waiting, and that didn't really persuade me. What really got me was looking at the heartache of wow, you went right past all those red flags. You stayed way longer than you should have. Slow learner.
And just to like damaged goods. I just went to an event last weekend, and I prayed over a gal, and she's pregnant with her 4th baby, and she's like bawling, and she's like, you know, I just feel like I'm damaged goods. And so I just want to encourage you, like, again, I have 2 kids. They have different dads, which means, you know, I was obviously with 2 different people. And so now I have this man who waited till marriage for his wife. He has 4 kids, and he did not look at me as damaged goods. And so my encouragement is just to really believe that you're not damaged goods, and that there are men out there, whether they're your husband or not, like this man and this man probably don't look at you and go, oh, she's damaged goods. No, because they're good men, and they're not the only 2 out there that are good men. And so just really, you know, keep that in your back pocket, that there are really good men out there, and you're not damaged goods.
And demand that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was the most attractive about you is, I mean, I didn't have to, like, I think as a man, like, we want to lead, but I didn't have to lead her. Especially, like, when we started dating, she had just started, like, doing a podcast, and she's kind of paused from doing the podcast, but she was, like, she's going after it. She's going after following Jesus. Like, I'm going this way, following Jesus and serving in church, and and not just, like, not just serving in church. Like, there's a passion that's ignited inside of her that just pours out. And so, like, the idea of, I mean, she attracted me because of her passion for Jesus outside of, it wasn't like me that's saying, hey, no, let's go pray. It'd be more like, hey, you want to pray? And she'd be like, oh, heck yeah, you know? And so it's like, oh, I don't want to marry someone that I can't pray with. So if she's saying, oh, heck yeah, like, this is easy. It's, you know,
he leads me. He doesn't have to pull me.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
But you both were busy building your lives.
Right.
Like, you were busy doing the things that you were passionate about doing, which
the
helped.
idea is, you know, run as hard as you can after Jesus. And when you're running and there's a dude running with you, date that guy, is what I heard. And like the girl version of that, obviously, right? You know.
And someone told him, they're like, oh, you should take Kate out. And he's like, nah.
Seriously.
So anyways.
Yep.
Okay,
what do you guys
so
have?
for you guys, what would you change?
I would change my mindset a little bit of like, to me, I felt like, does God really have a greater like plan for me or idea? Like in my head, I was like, well, this is what I was born into. This is, does God really have good for me? And I would constantly like think that like, he's just going to walk away one day. He's just going to like realize like, you know, and I wish I didn't feel that way. I wish I didn't believe that. And because that puts a lot of pressure on him too, where it's like unrealistic expectations too with that. Not looking at what other people are saying, whether it's good, doesn't even mean it's bad, but it shouldn't matter either, because in that I should always have that mindset of like our communication prayerfully, like while we were dating, and just really believe that and rest in that versus being worrying and being anxious about it.
That's good.
I would say probably find accountability sooner. Like I admire what you guys said about like having Pastor Heath. Well, I know Pastor Heath, so he's a great guy to go to. And so but just having somebody that you can go to, and part of that comes from having like a good solid relationship that you can look up to. That would probably be the other piece, is like finding people in your life that you can model what you want a good relationship to look at like. Is so huge. That like my parents had their ups and downs and stuff like that. All in all, had a really good marriage. I had a youth pastor that I got close to when I was in high school and gave my life to the Lord, and I got to be in the presence of him and his wife. I watched how they interacted together. I watched how they parented their kids. I watched how they did things. I watched how they were around people, and it was like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting to watch and see like you bicker because you're upset with each other, but like love each other through it, and there's forgiveness like almost instantly. And I watch how you parent your kids when they're crazy and chaotic and stuff like that. And like it was like I got to watch all these things play out in front of me that were different than my home life, and my home life was good, but like I got to see a perspective that I was like, oh, I didn't realize this. And so finding accountability and like people that you look up to and can model what you want your relationship to look like, I think is so valuable, because it's gonna help you in the long run. And to what you were saying, Tim, is that like this may sound like the corniest thing ever, but we're in a church, so it's just the reality. Is the more you pursue after Jesus, it's going to benefit both of you. Our pastor who did our wedding said on our wedding day, he's like, if you think of your relationship as you both pursue Jesus as like a triangle, Ashley's here, I'm here, and as we both pursue Jesus, we move closer together. And like that has proven true in our marriage every single day, is that like if we are pursuing after Jesus today together, we are getting closer. If today we decided we didn't pray because we were too busy, weren't reading our Bible, we weren't involved, like weren't going after him in whatever way that looked like we naturally were probably more ornery with each other. We were a little bit more on edge and stuff like that. And so that looks different for us both. Like at time, like I mean, you guys are all parents. Like at times it's chaotic, and praying in a day may look like 5 minutes in the car.
We're in the bathroom.
Yeah, like I had 5 minutes apiece of like I just, Lord, I need your help today. These kids.
It's split-second prayers when you're like, Lord, help me.
Yes.
Deal with this tantrum or this whatever.
Yeah, it was way easier when it was just the two of us, and with kids it adds a whole other dimension because they need stuff. But it is also so valuable for how I parent. I feel like I parent better when I'm closer to the Lord, and it helps me in my relationship with Ashley, that when I know that I'm close to him, I am naturally more selfless. I'm naturally more attentive to her. I'm naturally thinking about her and caring for her. And so I know it's the cheesy church answer to say, but it really does hold so true.
It's so true.
Good. And
Well,
you
but
do
even
need
with
to have
kids.
conversations with, especially if you're blending, if there's kids from either side.
Yep.
Because it does happen where things happen with kids, and it is important to set boundaries for them too, and make sure that they know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and to be very intentional about protecting all of the kids.
So we just actually, yesterday, the night before, we actually had this exact conversation, just him and I, of like, hey, we trust Nolan, but it's probably not a good idea to leave Nolan and my 5-year-old alone. Like, if it's Nolan, Maeve, the girl, and my daughter, that's one thing, but like Saith, the 15-year-old, he should not be left alone with Maeve, the 11-year-old, or with Everly. Again, not that we don't trust him, we trust our kids, but I mean, you just never know. And so don't put yourself or put your kids in that position where, Everly could say, oh, well, Saith did this to me. Well, no, he didn't, because you guys weren't alone. But if they're alone and somebody says something happens, whoever the kid is, well, they were alone. So who do you believe? So just even for yourselves, you know, we have that rule too. Like, I'm not going to put myself in a position to be alone, you know, with a man, because it's his word against mine. You know, nobody saw it. And so, yeah, great question.
Thank you to our speakers. I appreciate your willingness to talk about kind of vulnerable things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.